all can see. You'll have to give me a little step. I'm going to have this handy in case there are more quotes that I want to share than what I've put together. Great favor. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome, friends, beloveds. It is such an amazing, amazing opportunity we have. Welcome to this sanctuary, a sanctuary of community, of friendship, of healing, of spiritual development and discovery, and of transformation. This is a sanctuary where lives are transformed. And everyone is welcome here. That's one of the wonders of the Unitarian-Universalist world. Every single person is welcome, no matter what you experienced this past week. Part of why everyone is welcome here is because as Unitarian Universalists, we honor the dignity and worth of every single individual. Everyone. That's not always easy to remember. I think this is going to help me remember the safety pin. Right. Everyone. And this is hardest to remember, I think, when people don't agree with us. I'll lower this a little bit. There we go. When people don't agree with us, can we honor their worth and dignity? We must. We must. Because we know that no one person has all the truth, and we are constantly searching for truth and meaning. And we know that every single person we encounter has a piece of truth for us. And that's part of why we come here. So from the diversity of our experience and our understanding and recognizing the value of diversity, we gather. And we build a common bond based on the humanity that we share. Always. Now, not everyone in the world agrees with this, but still, we honor their worth and dignity. Now, some of you were present when I talked about my grandmother working with Gandhi, and so I grew up with this basic understanding that if we show up honoring the worth and dignity of each person, it's amazing how things shift and change. The rhetoric tends to fall away. And nations are transformed. It's an amazing process. When we come in a place like this, we come to this sanctuary, we're all hopeful. We're hoping to gather and find friends. We're hoping to feel something that maybe we've been missing. We're hoping to have a sense of connection. We're hoping, maybe against hope, to find a spark of motivation that maybe got lost when we got caught up in the despair of experiences around us. And we recognize that in a place like this, we can share our distress as well as our joys. We can share our fears as well as our hopes. We can share what is truly happening in our hearts. And we can't do that in great depth on a Sunday morning. We do create other opportunities to do that, and yesterday's circle was one of those. You're always welcome on a Saturday afternoon when I'm in town. When the program committee asked me to do this topic on this Sunday, we did not know what the results of the election would be. We just knew that this election cycle had lasted far too long and had been far too decisive, and there had been far too many disappointments, surprises, too many disruptive and dissonant kinds of experiences in it. And we wanted to recognize that there is a divisiveness in the world around us that may be reflecting, and according to some traditions must be reflecting, a divisiveness that maybe we have not even recognized in our hearts, in our minds, and in our soul. And so we see that divisiveness in the world as an opportunity not just to build bridges between people, but to break down walls inside of us. If we think about this incredibly long election cycle, and I do hope that's the first reform that is made, if we think of all the things that happened along the way, there are neighbors that we no longer can connect with. There are people that were not necessarily maybe friends, but they were associates that we could chat with and we now don't feel comfortable with. The divisiveness has entered into far too many of our relationships across the country. Maybe coworkers that we are hesitant to open our hearts and minds to. And we're not entirely sure we can trust the people that we have called leaders. And of course, for most of us, that's been going on for a few decades, but it's more intense now than ever, I think, yes? So the stress has been building. The stress of, I have to not speak. I'm repressing a little bit, perhaps. Each and every one of us has people we don't get to speak our hearts and minds with, so we repress. And unfortunately, repression is the cause of something that is far too prevalent in our culture right now, depression. We cannot afford to repress. So we have to have a place and a time where we can express what is in our hearts and minds. This room may not always be that place, and you may need to find a time or a place alone where you can go out to the ocean and yell and scream and throw rocks. That works. Or you may find a person who is willing to be that sounding board, just to listen, not do anything, not fix, just listen. Those are important things. And some of you have already done that. I know many people woke up Wednesday morning in shock. And in fact, one of my friends sent an email out in which she talked about having waken up in such shock that she wasn't even able to find the light, which was her norm. And she spent the day seeking a way to find that. I may share what she sought and found later. But the real thing that is going on in all of that is fear about uncertainty about the future. 90% of the rhetoric that we have heard is coming from that fear related to that uncertainty. A huge amount of the actions people have taken, whatever they have done, has come from that place of fear. There are people who are worried about their neighbors, there are people who are worried about immigrants, there are people who are worried about people that don't look and act like us. And that's not just happening in this country. It's happening in Scandinavia even. We look to Scandinavia as being this gem of getting together and making things work. Well, a friend of mine pointed out that Iceland has fewer people in it than Portland. The whole country. And they're all related. She knows. She lived there for years. So of course there's cohesion, and of course there's an ability to get things done. In Scandinavia, there is that coherence, and there's a number of social psychologists out there talking about when everyone looks alike and has a long tradition together, it's a lot easier to get things done in a similar way. And when people stop looking alike, then they start having problems, because there is a fundamental wiring in the human brain that says, if it's just me and my brother, we're fighting. But me and my brother against the cousins, we're fighting. And me and my brother and my cousins against the stranger. All right? Because what's wired into the human brain is this concept of other. And it's not wired into the cortex, it's wired into the bird brain. So when that thing comes up, I don't recognize you. You don't look like what I see in the mirror. That's your baby chicken picking up the other chickens. Pecking, pecking, pecking. Okay? So we have a cortex. We have another brain. We don't have to go there. But when we are caught in that, we can't see that. And when we're caught in that, we can't find that place of common humanity, common wholeness, common oneness. And so we begin to be afraid about the uncertainty because of the presence of others in our world. And it's happening in Europe, and it's happening in many places around the world, not just here. Brexit is the same issue as the election we just had, the exit of Britain from the European Union. It's what is. So what are we going to do about it? What I'd like you to think about right now is how it is that coming together helps to heal. How it is that bringing our awareness to the situation, bringing that higher brain to the bird brain, helps us move through times of uncertainty. We have no idea what the actual result of what has happened this last week is. We have 2 years of rhetoric, and that's it. We got nothing. We have no idea how Congress is going to form and shape. We know who got elected, but that doesn't tell us much. But we have the rhetoric driving the bird brain, saying, it doesn't look like me. It doesn't think like me. It doesn't talk like me. It must not be okay. We honor the worth and dignity of every human being because we are human. Can I override the bird brain? Not always. But that's the spiritual development. That's the emotional maturity, to begin to do that over and over and over again. So recognizing that we have come together here to feel something different, to begin to come out of this place with a different kind of understanding of what's really been happening, I would like to invite a couple of you, 5 or 10 of you maybe, to share for a minute or two something that you have experienced in the last week. It can be a distress, or it can be a shining moment, whatever it is that you'd like to share. And there is another microphone that sits on this table. And if you'd like to just have it come to where you are, you do not have to get up in front of the group. Okay, right here in the middle.
We're testing the microphone.
Woohoo, it works.
Mine's a distress. Is this working?
Yes.
Hearing that
A little closer.
the KKK was marching in North Carolina was really distressful. And it's hard to try and look past that, to think that these people that are doing that are good people, that there's something worthwhile, although the lecture, I think, might help me. And I think about all the millions of people that have died because of oppression, and I like to think that we're not reliving history. I like to think that we've evolved. But I'm not there yet.
Thank you for sharing that. I know many people are feeling what you just voiced.
Sherry.
on Monday night, the night before the election, this is really hard to talk about, my daughter called and said, "Mom, who did you vote for?" And I told her, Hillary Clinton. She went ballistic. And this is someone who, up until, I could probably say it, a year ago, we've been in lockstep all of our lives. And fear was the motivating factor. As a young girl, her father was dating an Iranian princess who had escaped, and much of her family had been tortured and murdered. And while she was there, this woman's cousin, the daughter was in a swimming pool in Iran and was taken and never seen again. And so my daughter has this in her psyche, you know. And the fear just overtook her. And this is somebody I love, but somebody who bought into the rhetoric. It's very painful. And so I've been going through a gamut of emotions this week because it's the antithesis of what I believe. We're all one people. My little song says, if we could see our world from outer space, we'd know there's just one human race. We'd remind ourselves we're all one people. And that is my dream, that we come to that. And it is my belief that we are on our way to that.
Thank you.
Yes, very good.
I have survived a lot of stuff, okay? I've seen it all coming. I was in the Japanese war and all that. The only problem we have is not what's happening there in Washington. The problem that we have is fear ourselves. And like FDR said, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. And the only way to conquer all that anger and all that fear, like I just said, can result in violence, okay? Because you're afraid, right? Animals do the same thing. You put them in a corner, and so don't do that. The only way to conquer all that is love. And what I did, I have to watch the news, but I'm laying in bed and the hard time doing it, I'm almost crying right now. Like I said, in my way I put imaginary cotton balls on my head and send it to all those people that you actually don't like. But you gotta be very strong to be able to do that. And I'm afraid, not afraid, and I'm happy that I was able to do that. Keep going what we are doing. Nothing's gonna happen. All the phone calls we got from the children, LGBT and whatever you call those people, I'm saying it wrong. Mom, I'm so afraid and all that stuff. Don't be afraid, because that's gonna give whoever you don't like the winning hand.
All right. Thank you.
Cotton balls, huh?
Works.
I think it helps for me to think of Tigdahan and look upon everyone as though they have a great sorrow. And maybe that great sorrow is also a great fear, whatever that goes back to. And I do believe in tough love, and I do believe in that we can stand up for not love, but to have love, and to stand up for people who are willing to back every single person, the creature, the Mother Earth, that it's all the web. But to look upon those people that voted, look upon those people that they need healing, including our government. But we can stand up, but it helps me to say they all have a great sorrow. And I won't say even in names, I'd like to, even so-and-so, they all have a great sorrow.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
that fear is not a helpful state of mind. However, understanding how this country works and the peril that our world is in based on the use of fossil fuels and the future of our planet and all of its inhabitants is a very, very serious concern. And it is my belief that as humans, that we have the obligation and the right to stand up for our planet and the health of all living things and not accept the denial of human-caused climate change. And I believe it's time for all of us to stand up for that, to protect all of us, and not allow the corporations to destroy us. That's all I have to say about it.
One over here.
You know, I'm gonna just speak real quick. I was reading the paper this morning, and the headline said that, you know, the timber industry will take a boost because Mr. Trump promised them in May that he would bring back the timber jobs and cut down forests. And the next paragraph was the environmentalists talking about, oh my God, here we go again. So it's a matter of, for me, it's listening to somebody who is making these outwardly promises. I'm going to promise you this because you're the audience that's here right now and you want to hear this. And what can he really do? Even if Hillary were elected and she makes these promises, what can you really do? And I'm getting tired of people telling me what they're going to do. I don't see the results. I don't believe Trump. I really don't believe half the stuff he said he really wants to do. He just said it because the crowd was there and he got caught up in the moment. And then he got caught up in the next moment. And then he got caught up in the next moment. Before you know it, he's our president. So, and we'll just, the proof is in the pudding. What is he really going to do? And is it really that? But it's more me just believing that we each can do something about it. If it's not right, if it doesn't work for you, try to find a way to fix it.
Yes, together.
Thank you.
Well, I really want to thank you, Sherry, because what you just said and what you just said, Sherry, are my new path forward. You will love your daughter forever.
Yeah.
And you will absolutely stand up and oppose those things which she believes to be truth. I've been struggling to say, how could those two things exist in the same space? And you just showed me how. So thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Beautiful.
Wonderful. One more, Ruth? Do we have one?
Yeah, Rosemary.
Or two.
Or, yeah, two.
It's interesting how we all follow our spiritual path, whatever that may be. And then something like this comes up and affects not only our state and our country, but the world has been looking. And when we stop and look at the big picture of that, it's really a test to see how we're walking the walk and talking the talk. And the more I hear about the way things were, and the more I hear about the fear of the future, we're not supposed to be in either one of those environments. We're supposed to be in the now, this particular moment. So every time something is said on the TV or on Facebook, because I'm very guilty of that, I keep having to put myself back in the now, because that's the only place I have power. And each of us have power, is being in that now. And this is a test for us to live what we have been working with internally our entire lives. And the more we do that, the more of a sense of equilibrium and calmness that we can offer those around us. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty.
One more, Rosemary?
There's someone in the back, if we can squeeze one more in.
Absolutely.
I'll give up one reading for that.
I know that for myself, I have
had extreme emotional challenges in my life. It's been one of the focuses of my spiritual life, is to get my emotional life under control. And certainly the events of this past week have been challenging to that. But I find that where I put my attention is where my heart goes. And if I pay attention to the media, which seems to be bent on riling us up rather than bringing us together, if I put my attention point on things that bring up my own knowing in the deepest part of me, then I have peace in my heart, in my person, and that's where I can come from a more stable place then. And then finally, Ruth mentioned Gandhi earlier. I think if we all watched Gandhi movie about 5 times, that's a really good example of how we could handle. He never raised a hand. He allowed people to be who they were, and then he worked from his own strength and being and power in that peacefulness.
Thank you, Rosemary. All right, we got 2 more. We got one in the back, and Linda, and I can give up space for this. This is good. This is
Give up another leader.
You all are
We will make room.
fabulous. Love
We
this.
will make room.
This is real quick, but it helps me, and it's a little perversion of the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that's me.
Hallelujah. Who had the hand? Yes, Linda.
That was marvelous. Thank you.
I had that saying in front of my computer at my office for many, many years. Many centuries ago, Marcus Aurelius said, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." And this morning on Hay House, a statement from Louise Hay: "Your thoughts create your life, and thinking positive thoughts around a negative outcome in your life will help to create a more positive outcome to occur as you go forward."
Thank you. And you can do that only when you focus on the moment and not let the fears up. I'm sorry, I think we have to move on. It's 10 to 11. But thank you. Your sharings are so rich and so meaningful from the heart, from the understanding, from the deeper wisdom. That is beautiful. I'd like to share a couple of things said by other Unitarian ministers during the various vigils over the last week. UUA has been in vigils all week. So this is Reverend Daniel O'Connell at Houston, Texas. "Hold on to what is good and honest and true. Find that calm center of yours hiding behind a door and hold on. Despite the noise of bickering and profanity, hold on to kindness. Despite the whirlwind of potential tragedy, despite the possibility of progress pushed back, hold on. Hold on to this place of memory and hope as a haven for people who think like you, now needed more than ever. Hold on and hold fast, for together we make a beacon of love and hope. Together we make a beacon whose light pushes back the darkness. Elections come and go. This too shall pass." Danielle Ferris, who describes herself as a white, queer, Jewish community organizer in Oakland, tells us, "We must turn toward each other and open ourselves and share our resources. We must apologize and repair when we make mistakes, and then we must go on together. White supremacy has not won. There are still rivers and sacred prayer circles protecting the water. There is still Black liberation movement and Hispanic liberation movement, resistance and resilience. There is still love and magic. What will you bring forward now? How can I be supportive of your efforts? What is needed of me? And what can I bring more of? And as if in response to that, on the East Coast, Monique Bourgeois adapted these words of Judy Bressler from the klezmer Conservatory Band. And for those of you who don't understand, klezmer is very Jewish. A candle alone is a small thing, but one candle can light another and see its own light increase as it gives flame to another. Light is the power that removes darkness. It dissolves it. Throughout history, darkness has tried to smother light, but always, in the end, it fails. For always, somewhere, the light remains, ready to burn its brightest where things are darkest. And when one heart kindles another, when one person strengthens another, when one mind illumines another, the light increases within us as we pass through. I invite you now to pick up that little piece of paper that's on your desk, on your chair, in your folder, in your book. And if you have a pencil, write something. And if you don't have pens or pencils, there are some around. And what I'd like you to write, and I'd like is just one thing. Just one thing. One thing that gives you hope. Maybe the greatest hope. What is the one thing that gives you the greatest hope so that when those times happen that you end up looking at the future instead of at the now? You can have this to remind you. The one thing that gives you your greatest hope. Not everyone got to write it down right now. Maybe you can do it after the service is over. I'll bounce wandering around with pens. Ever serviceable and service-filled. Thank you, Don. And as you do this, what I'd like to do is invite David to shut down the lights. We're going to spend a little time in the realm of that hope. Take a deep breath. Feel the energy, feel how it feels to be experiencing that now. Feel in your body and in your mind and in your heart what it feels like if that hope is happening here and now in your life, because now is the only thing that exists. Feel that hope alive. Feel that image, feel the situation, taste it, smell it, see the colors, hear the sounds. Make it as real in your imagination as you're capable of making. That is the light at the end of your tunnel. Make it real, for you are moving toward that. You must be moving toward that. That's how the universe works. Now allow yourself to be drawn toward that. Feel that the tunnel has dissolved behind you as you are in the place of that hope, of that knowing, of that remarkable experience. That is the truth. Who we are at the core of our being is the light. And we experience it each in our own unique, individual way. And then we share it. And so now I'd like to invite you to feel the light and the warmth and the love associated with that experience, and let it fill your whole being, your body, your mind, the field of energy that is surrounding you. Allow that love and that light to fill you. And then let's allow that light and that love to fill this space, this room, this sanctuary. And now let's breathe again and expand that light and that love into this community that we call Florence. Up and down this coast, this beautiful coast of Oregon. And further up and down the coast all the way from pole to pole. And then as it expands east and west across the continent. That light and that love that we are. That light and that love that is holding our life and moving us toward more and more beauty and joy and well-being. We are sharing it with the world. We feel the world knowing this light and this love. This is the gift we can give no matter what else we are doing, no matter what other limitations we feel. We can share this light and this love that is the core of our essence. And so I invite you to embrace this whole beautiful planet as beings begin to wake up and emerge into the light of their own wisdom. As they begin to move and evolve from one fearful, emotional way of being to their fullness as human beings. Feel that happening. This beautiful planet Earth. We see it from space, we embrace it. We see the oneness. And now bring our attention back and we breathe. We allow that awareness to flood our whole being. This moment, now, all that is light and love and peace and hope in us and all through. All that is now and now and now again. All right, cleansing breath, bring your awareness back. Oh my. I would like us to do a responsive reading based on the bulletin. One more trip. On the back of your bulletin is a list, a very important list. It's on the front, and since I didn't, okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to read that top line, and then you're going to read the bullet points, okay? We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of each person. We covenant to affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We covenant to affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. We covenant to affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We covenant to affirm and promote the right conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and society at large. We covenant to affirm and promote the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And finally, we covenant to affirm and promote respect for the interdependence